In the animal kingdom, gorillas often greet each other with a hug. Certain species of penguins propose to their partner with a pebble. Female lions do all the hunting for their family. Orcas live with their parents their whole lives. While every family is different and every family is unique, the truth is, they're still our fam.
What is up, CC Middle School students? I hope you guys are having a great week. This is week 2 of our FAM series. Now, the first thing I want you guys to do is to comment down below what your favorite TV family was. Now, I grew up watching the OG Disney Channel shows like Even Stevens, The Proud Family, classics like, Hannah Montana and Wizards of Waverly Place. Now, one thing I love about these shows is that they highlighted family. Family was the central theme, and these were families that had dinner together or that had each other's backs no matter what conflicts arose. But other than the fact that these shows were absolutely hilarious and I loved watching them and I loved laughing with these families, they also highlighted that while these families seemed perfect, they all had things that they struggled with. Parents fought, siblings fought, numerous conflicts arose with the families. And I loved seeing that even though things might look perfect on the outside, these shows highlighted some of the not so perfect things that went on in the inside, which I loved seeing because I knew that was true for my family. While it might not be true for everyone's family, it was cool to see my family represented in that way. So growing up, my sister and I didn't have the best relationship. There were numerous years where I didn't talk to her, where I didn't talk to any of my family for that matter. I would retreat into my room, plug my headphones in, and open a book and just kind of mind my own business. And when I did leave my room, arguments would ensue. Generally about something stupid. I don't know if it was teenage angst or whatever, but there was constant fighting between my sister and my parents and I. And it didn't hit me how important those relationships were until I moved away from home and went to college. Now my sister's like my best friend and I have a great relationship with my parents. But it took some years to kind of build back up to that due to those previous years of isolation from my family. Now, maybe your family has a couple less than perfect things going on at home. Maybe you feel like your family situation is something that you have to keep hidden, that you have to hide away in some closet and not talk about because no one could possibly understand what you're going through. But you aren't alone. Every one of us at some point in time has felt like our family situation is less than ideal, it's less than perfect. And it's not something to be ashamed about because no family is a perfect family. Maybe there's a lot of tension in your home. Maybe there's a lot of fighting, slamming of doors, yelling. Some families have a lot going on but actually never talk about it. They push it to the side and avoid it, and it makes you feel like you have to walk on eggshells around your family and that there's this unspoken tension. No one talks about it, but you can feel it, and that makes your home a very stressful place to live. Or maybe you've discovered things about people in your family that you wish you didn't know. Secrets about relationships, affairs, legal problems, or bad decisions that now affect your life. Secrets that have hurt people and caused problems in your home, that have broken relationships and broken trust, and have left things in a state of disrepair. Or maybe for you, the problem in your family comes from something really serious, like abuse or neglect, addiction, or abandonment. You may feel really alone in those situations, and if you are, I want to encourage you to speak out about it. Find an adult that you trust, whether that's someone, a teacher at your school, your small group leader. Find an adult that you trust and talk about these things, and they will get you connected to the help that you need. Or maybe your family's facing big problems. You're dealing with things like divorce, remarriage, a parent that left and never looked back, siblings that are always in trouble. Maybe it's something like illness or death, and these things can certainly weigh heavy on your heart and make you feel like your family is less than perfect. Honestly, no matter what you're dealing with at home, I think it's true for all of us in some way or another. No family is a perfect family. What's difficult about this is that we think that nothing good could ever come from an imperfect family, and that God couldn't use an imperfect family, that God couldn't use us because we come from an imperfect family. But as we'll talk about today, that's absolutely not the case. Because here's the thing, especially in the Bible, most of the people are messed up. Their families are messed up. They did not make the right decisions all the time. And God still used them and still did great things through them. And the family that we're going to talk about today, I love this story. Not only was their family absolutely, totally dysfunctional, but God still did amazing things through them. And that can still be true for us as well. And the story starts with a man named Abraham. God promised Abraham a ton of descendants, as many as the stars in the sky, and that's a lot. He had a son named Isaac, and Isaac had two sons named Jacob and Esau. Now, Jacob and Esau, they were twins. Now, even though they were twins, they were completely different. They looked different, they acted different, and they had completely different interests. Now, anyone with siblings can probably relate to that. I know I can. Even though my sister and I are related, we do not look alike, we do not act alike, we do not like the same things. In fact, we do have stuff in common, but it's not really a lot. Now, here's where it gets crazy. Even though Jacob and Esau were twins, Esau was born first. And what that meant is that Esau would receive the birthright. Now, the birthright meant that he would be in charge of the family wealth and property when Isaac died. And second, being the firstborn meant that Esau got the birthright. Now, the birthright is essentially that promise that God made to Abraham that passed down to Isaac would be passed on to Esau. That meant that he'd receive the family's future wealth and prosperity. Again, since his family came from Abraham, Esau's blessing also included the promises that God made to Abraham. Promises to make their name great, to do big things with their family, and to bless all people through this one family. And as you can imagine, Jacob, the younger brother, didn't really love the situation because as the second-born, he wasn't going to get the birthright or the blessing. Now, their mother, Rebekah, favored Jacob. Jacob was her favorite son. So, Jacob and Rebekah worked together to try to get the blessing and the birthright from Esau. Now, the first step to this plan that they had was to convince Esau to give his birthright to him. And it really didn't take much. Jacob was cooking up a meal, and Esau came home and was starving. Have any of you guys made some questionable decisions when you were a bit hangry? Because that's exactly what happened here. Jacob offered Esau food in exchange for the birthright, which is absolutely insane. But again, we've all made some kind of crazy decisions when we've been absolutely famished. Now, with the birthright all his, all Jacob needed to do was to trick his father Isaac into giving the family blessing to him. Now, they looked different. Jacob and Esau looked different. So, Jacob took advantage of the fact that Isaac was towards the end of his life and his eyesight wasn't the best. So, Jacob's mom helped disguise Jacob as Esau to fool Isaac into giving the blessing to him. And the absolutely crazy thing was it worked. Isaac gave Jacob the blessing that was promised to Esau. And when Esau came in a few moments later, he had no idea what Jacob had done and was absolutely devastated when he realized what had happened. Now, we're going to go to scripture and look at how this played out. When Esau heard his father's words, he burst out with a loud and bitter cry and said to his father, "Bless me too, my father." But he said, "Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing." Esau said, "Isn't he rightly named Jacob? This is the second time he has taken advantage of me. He took my birthright and now he's taken my blessing." Then he asked, "Haven't you reserved any blessing for me?" Isaac answered Esau, "I have made him lord over you and made all his relatives his servants, and I have sustained him with grain and new wine. So what can I possibly do for you, my son?" Esau said to his father, "Do you have only one blessing, my father? Bless me too, my father." Then Esau wept aloud. And trust me, it only got worse from there. After some heated conversation, we find out that Esau had actually planned to kill Jacob, and Rebekah, their mother, sent Jacob away to protect him, breaking up their family completely. But what's the point of this insane story? Well, the point is the story didn't stop there. Sure, this family was an absolute mess, but in spite of all of that, God still had an important future plan for them. He had promised something great to Abraham, and a messed up family wasn't going to ruin that plan. Their family didn't have to be perfect for God to use them. Hundreds of years after this happened, the writer of the book of Hebrews looked back on this story. And there the writer didn't talk about the mess or the bad choices or the pain in this family. Instead, he wrote this: by faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau in regard to their future. See, Isaac eventually did pass a blessing on to Esau. It wasn't the same as the original blessing that Jacob stole, but it was something. It was an act of faith. Even though there was a lot of really bad moments in their family, the very act of Isaac passing on a blessing in his family was an act of faith. It was a way of saying, I believe what God said about our family is true. I believe he has something good for us in the future. God had a plan for this imperfect family. And even in the middle of so much pain and so many problems, they trusted him to come through. And that's what I want for each of us. You see, your family doesn't have to be perfect for God to use it. Seeing how God didn't forget about a less than perfect family back then can give us hope that he'll do the same for our families today. In fact, for a lot of you, the most hopeful thing about this lesson is that no family is a perfect family. But God works anyway. Being imperfect isn't the end of this story, which is an absolutely huge relief for many of us. You don't have to be perfect for God to use you, and your family members don't have to be perfect for God to use them. You don't have to come from a perfect family to be able to do amazing things, which is an absolute relief. So here are a few things that I want you to try. Number 1, choose to believe that God is working anyway. Your family will mess up. They aren't perfect. Your siblings will borrow stuff without asking. Your stepmom or mom will yell at you. Your dad will disappoint you. And no matter what your family looks like, even if it's not the traditional nuclear family, they aren't going to be perfect. The next time that happens, instead of getting frustrated and shutting down, have faith that God will somehow use your family anyway, that he's working for your good, that he's with you in the mess of your family, and that he can still use your family for his good. Number 2, stay connected to your family. Most of us tend to want to avoid our families when things get messy. That's what I did. We stay in our room, we shut down, we put our earbuds in, we keep our eyes glued to whatever screen it is, whether it's a TV, phone, computer, whatever. But instead of shutting down, what if we made the extra effort to stay connected? What if we spent some extra time talking to our parents or guardians? What if we spent that extra time with our grandparents or with our siblings? Trust me, you don't want to miss out on being part of an incredible family and a story that God is writing within it. This week, try to stay connected even when you don't feel like it. Now, here's the thing where we're going to pause. For some of you, I know that staying connected to your family is not the best option. In fact, it's literally not an option at all. Because the stuff that makes your family imperfect is more than just frustrations or general annoyances. It is serious issues. It is abuse. It is neglect. It is alcohol. It is drugs. It is the kind of stuff that makes staying connected to your family simply not safe for you. If that's you, I want to encourage you to instead connect with someone who is like family. If that is a small group leader, a leader at school, a neighbor, a teacher, a coach, any trusted adult in your life who cares about you, connect with them about what is happening in your home so they can help take you to the next best step. And I know that may be scary, but the leaders and the adults in your life are there for this purpose, to connect with you when you need it the most. So if that is you, I encourage you this week to take that step of faith and do that. Now remember, your family doesn't have to be perfect for God to use it. God uses imperfect people and imperfect families for his good. I believe that's true in my family, and I believe that it can be true in your family as well. Now, as we head into small group and whatever context that is, hopefully it's comforting to know that you are not the only one that has an imperfect family, that the person sitting next to you has a similar story to yours. It's normal to feel like you are the only person that is going through what you're going through, and that's what's special about our small groups. You are not the only person going through what you're going through. Our small groups, again, you're going to have someone in that room that is dealing with or has dealt with what you're dealing with. I encourage you to step forward in faith and share some of those things that you're struggling with. You can connect with someone that you didn't know was going through or has gone through this thing that you're going through. And in the process of doing that, you get a chance to learn about all the things that God is doing in your lives, and give you hope for how God is going to work through your family and all the struggles that you're going through. Now, as we head into small group, I want you guys to think about one thing that you hope God will do in your family. Have a great week.